All right, folks. So we got a big story here. The Supreme Court, rogue institution on a tear. You have no rights in this country. A lot of people get pissed the fuck off when I say that. I remember I made this one video. It got a lot of right-winger attention. I think it got like a couple thousand views. I want to say maybe a month ago. I don't know. And in the video, I was, expressing how we don't have rights in this country. There are no rights. If your rights can be taken away at a moment's notice, they're not rights. I mean, it's just that simple. Right? So, previously in this country, we were under the impression that we had a right to free speech, a right to a separation of church and state, and a right to secular schooling. That is what we used to live in the society, but all those rights have vanished. According to this new Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court hands down the religious right a big victory by lying about the facts of a case. Kennedy v. Bremerton School District is a big victory for the religious right, but only because Gorsuch misrepresents the facts of the case. And then we have this classic photo here. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The Supreme Court handed down a landmark decision in Kennedy v. Bremerton School District on Monday, overruling a 1971 case laying out how the government must keep its distance from religion. But Justice Neil Gorsuch's opinion for himself and his fellow Republican appointees relies on a bizarre misrepresentation of the case's facts. He repeatedly claims that Joseph Kennedy, a former public school football coach at Bremerton High School in Washington State, who ostentatiously prayed at the 50-yard line following football games, often joined by his players, members of the opposing team, and members of the general public, offered his prayers quietly while students were otherwise occupied. Justice Brett Kavanaugh did not join a brief section of Gorsuch's opinion concerning the Constitution's free speech protections, but Gorsuch otherwise spoke for the court's entire Republican majority. Because Gorsuch misrepresents the facts of the case, it's hard to assess many of its implications. The court's decision to explicitly overrule Lemon v. Kurtzman, the 1971 decision that previously governed cases involving the constitutional language prohibiting an establishment of religion, has obvious implications for future lawsuits. Lower court judges will no longer apply Lemon's framework to establish clause cases. So basically what happens here is some stupid fucking coach is like, can't we just pray? I want to pray to my God. And that's fine. If you want to pray to your God, that's cool. I don't give a shit. That's kind of the whole thing about like prayer in schools and secular schooling, is that if you want to pray to a God, if I want to pray to the flying motherfucking spaghetti monster, that's fine. It's all good. But the problem is when you force students or, manipulate them in ways to do something that is technically unconstitutional. That's where the problem lies. So, if someone doesn't pray and you fuck with them, that would be a roundabout way of forcing them to pray to a God that they might not believe in. But it's not clear how the lower court judges should now navigate questions about the separation of church and state. Although the court overrules Lemon, it does not announce a fleshed-out test that will replace Lemon. Instead, Kennedy announces a vague new rule that the establishment clause must be interpreted by reference to historical practices and understandings. What? Moreover, because Gorsuch's opinion relies so heavily on false facts, the court does not actually decide what the Constitution has to say about a coach who ostentatiously prays in the presence of students and the public. Instead, it decides a fabricated case about a coach who merely engaged in private and quiet prayer. If the facts of Kennedy actually resembled the made-up facts laid out in Gorsuch's opinion, then Kennedy would have reached the correct result. Even under Lemon, a public school employee is typically permitted to pray quietly while they are not actively engaged with students. Gorsuch's opinion, however, describes a very different case than the one that was actually before the court. Coach Kennedy engaged in very public prayer. In the real case that was actually before the Supreme Court, Coach Kennedy incorporated motivational prayers into his coaching. Eventually, these prayers matured into public after-game sessions where both Kennedy's players and players on the other team would kneel around Kennedy as he held up helmets from both teams and led students in prayer. After games, Kennedy would also walk out to the 50-yard line where he would kneel and pray in front of students. and spectators. Initially, he did so alone, but after a few games, students started to join him. Eventually, a majority of the players did so. One parent complained to the school district that his son felt compelled to participate despite being an atheist because the student feared he wouldn't get to play as much if he didn't participate. This is where the problems start to actually happen here. When the Bremerton School District learned of Kennedy's behavior, it told him to knock it off. Though it did offer to accommodate Kenny if he wanted to pray when he wasn't surrounded by students and spectators, and Kennedy did end some of his most extravagant behavior, such as prayer sessions where he held up the helmets. Can we talk about how, like, religious people are fucking crazy? Like, praying is fucking crazy, stupid shit, man. I pray to God that we're gonna have a bountiful life and we're gonna play goddamn football. Like, what? It's fucking football. Why are you praying over football? Don't we have more important things to fucking pray about? If I've got a limited amount of prayers, if I can only pray once or twice a day, I don't know what the limit is. But if I'm gonna pray, I'm not gonna pray about a fucking football game that's over, by the way. Like, he's praying after the game. Like, not before the game. He's praying after the game. Motherfucker. Like, can you find a more useless thing to fucking pray about? Jesus goddamn Christ. But Kennedy also went on a media tour presenting himself as a coach who made a commitment with God. I don't even know what that means. I got a commitment with God. I gotta pray after the game. Otherwise, God will strike me down and kill me. What the fuck? Kennedy's lawyer informed the school district that the coach would resume praying at the 50-yard line immediately after games. So basically, he got picked up by local right-wing media, and he was like, I got a permit, God! And then right-wing media basically emboldened him, and he hired a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, yeah, by the way, we're not cutting it out. I'm gonna go pray with God! What? At the next game following this tour, coaches, players, and members of the public mobbed the field with Kennedy when Kennedy knelt to play. A federal appeals court described this mob as a stampede, and the school principal said that he saw people fall, and that, due to the crush of people, the district was unable to keep kids safe. Members of the school's marching band were knocked over by the crowds. Contrary to Gorsuch's repeated claims that Kennedy only wanted to offer a short private personal prayer, Kennedy was surrounded by players, reporters, and members of the public when he conducted his prayer session. This shit is crazy, man. This is 2022, and motherfuckers are, I'm gonna go pray to God, and everyone get off the bleachers and come on down. We're praying to God today. Like, if you wanted to pray to God, like, before the game, like, I pray that we win, that, you know, whatever. But why would you pray after the game is over? It doesn't make any sense. Gorsuch dismisses photographic evidence by claiming that not a single Bremerton student joined Mr. Kennedy's quiet prayers. After his game, he claims the players and prayers. I can't with this fucking shit. Holy fuck. Now I know how Japanese people feel. Christ almighty. He claims that the players depicted in the photograph are from the opposing team. So the players join for the prayers. I can't. Okay. Whether those players are from the Bremerton School District or not, that doesn't change the fact that Kennedy engaged in a very public prayer session. Jesus fuck. The point is, the Supreme Court justices are lying. They're lying. They're just making up a new, like they're making up a new case. Like, if the guy were to go out there and go like, I pray to Jesus and, you know, god dang. Like, what do? They smack themselves in the head and stuff. Like, what do? These fucking weirdo Christians. I pray to God. Like, I don't, like, if you want to do that in the corner and then we can all look at you and go like, you see that guy? Yeah. He's praying to God. Right? That's fine. But this motherfucker jumps to the middle of the field and says, "Come on with me. We're gonna go pray to God. We're gonna go pray to God." The Lemon case, which the court overruled in Kennedy, held that the government's actions must have a secular legislative purpose, that their principal or primary effect must be one that neither advances nor inhibits religion, and the government may not foster an excessive government entanglement with religion. A public school official conducting a very public prayer during the course of his official duties as a government employee clearly violates the Lemon test. Lemon was handed down in a different era when the court insisted the government must remain neutral on questions of religion. Just last week, however, a case about government funding of religious education, the Supreme Court disparaged such calls for neutrality, even holding that laws which deny funding to religious institutions in order to maintain the government's neutrality on matters of religion are unconstitutional. So basically, the court is now going more into the theocratic direction. The Supreme Court of the United States is, again, they're basically doing a bunch of fucking crazy shit. Like, it's really insane. Like just the last couple weeks of rulings that we got. So, like, okay, so in New York, gun laws, they don't count. You can't have a gun law in New York. Interesting. But when it comes to abortion, you can have a state law. So, states' rights when it comes to abortion. But no states can have laws when it comes to guns. Huh, interesting. Right? So that's bizarre. Of course, we've had the religious bullshit that they're going. They're just basically defending religious institutions over and over and over again. Clarence Thomas has signaled that he's coming for gay rights, marriage equality, the right to birth control. Crazy shit. We've also got another case on the docket in regards to the ability for the administrative state to really exist. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, the Supreme Court basically struck down a lot of powers of the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. And it's looking more so that they're going to go in that same direction with the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, I believe it's called. So the Supreme Court's basically giving a lot more power to religion, a lot less power to the administrative state. And on states' rights, it's up in the air. With guns, no such thing as state rights. It's Constitution, federal government. When it comes to abortion, there's no such thing as pursuit of happiness and liberty. Fuck that shit. No. States' rights. Isn't that interesting? And of course, again, it's notable that they're just lying about facts in a lot of these cases. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They just lie. That's the typical thing for Republican politicians, and that's what Supreme Court justices are. They're politicians. They are politicians with lifetime appointments because our country is fucking stupid. So, yeah, we're fucked. It's going to be crazy shit. Joe Biden has signaled he's not doing anything. Kamala Harris came out, did an interview. Maybe I'll cover this. She's not doing anything. Nancy Pelosi, she's making a couple bucks from her fundraising emails. It's over. The Biden administration literally isn't going to even try to do anything. They're not even going to try. In fact, maybe I'm going to cover that. Let me go get this.